Testing, testing. You getting any levels now? Yeah, I didn't do anything, but okay. Check, check, check.
Hello there. Happy New Year. My name's Tess. What's yours? This is PTZOptics and HuddleCam HD Live. We are so excited to bring in the new year with you here on Facebook and YouTube for our first live stream of the new year. We have a whole new process for going live, which symbolizes our New Year's resolution, or maybe my New Year's resolution, which is to go live more. What does that mean for PTZOptics and HuddleCam? We're going to be going live weekly instead of monthly. So we're so excited to be, diving back into things, really continuing to create a wonderful, meaningful relationship with you guys, our audience, by going live every Wednesday of the month at 2 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific. So join us right here, this time, this place, every Wednesday, and we're going to stick to it. We're going to bring you a lot of cool content this year, a lot of new products this year, and some new events as well. Today's show is going to be very laid back and informal. I just want to talk to you guys in the chat. So first and foremost, let me know your name, like I said before, and where you're from to kick the conversation off today. And what else I want to hear from you guys, and I have a couple colleagues here to talk and to join in the conversation as well. What do you want to hear from us in 2022? What should we be teaching? What should we be informing our audiences about? What products do you want to learn more about? Or just content in general, tutorials, speakers that you'd like us to hear from, and anything like that. So, pretty excited to get this kicked off. One more note I wanted to run by you guys. I did mention exciting events for 2022. We do have a very exciting event coming up. In February, on February 11th, we are having our annual Worship Summit live. So we're very excited to share some more information regarding this with you guys in the coming weeks. So make sure you are notified, or you are signed up for our live show notification list. You can do that at ptzoptics.com/show so you get important information about events like this. All right, let's dive into today's content. I'm going to introduce you guys to my two wonderful colleagues, Lindsay and Steven. Hey, guys.
Hello.
Hey, Tess. Happy New Year.
Thanks for joining me today. Ah, there we go. I was getting feedback earlier in my earpiece, but I think I'm good now. Let's see if the audience says so too. Okay. Looks like we're just getting comments, so we should be good to go. How you guys doing? Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Thanks for hanging out with me this afternoon.
It's a pleasure to be here.
Have some fun, I think, right?
Yeah, I think so too. We're going to definitely be chatting with the audience a lot today, but I'd like to start with you guys. What's your New Year's resolution, whether it involves live streaming or just in general?
Go ahead, Lindsay. Ladies first.
Me? Oh, okay. Well, I personally want to learn how to live stream because I'm very behind the scenes of behind the scenes. So.
Yeah, Lindsay, you're newer to the industry, so it's been exciting to see you flourish and learn about all the ins and outs, and much more to come for sure with that.
Oh yeah, super excited.
How about you, Steve?
I don't really do resolutions because I never stick to them because I always find, the next shiny object that jumps out and you want to, go after that. But I think one of the things that I really want to dive deeper into is learning more about things that we're not normally doing in live streaming. A lot of people don't use IP audio. There's, the higher end will use that. So I think for me, I want to kind of dive into things that are different, that is not like your traditional live stream, if that makes sense.
So exploring new technologies or new tactics.
Yeah. Augmented reality really has me intrigued.
Oof.
And later on I have a little example that I can show you why.
Oh, you brought surprises for us.
I came to play.
You came to play. I'm going to say a quick good afternoon, good morning, or good evening to the audience, depending where you're watching from. And I love that a lot of you are sharing where you're watching from. Hey, Bill from Wisconsin. Thanks for joining us. Corinne here is from Pennsylvania. That's where Lindsay and I are from. Well, actually, Stephen, you had some time in Pennsylvania as well, didn't you?
I was born and raised in Pennsylvania, too, not far from you guys.
So you deserve the old from Pennsylvania, too.
That's right. That's
We
right.
have
The old Pennsylvania Dutch.
Stan and okay, so Stan is from Mexico City. Hi, Stan. And then Adrian.
We have the Netherlands.
Okay, no, I'm sorry. Stan is from New Mexico. And then Adrian is from Mexico City. We've got so many different locations. I am just getting confused.
I think this is my favorite part about the live stream, is seeing where everybody's from.
That is one of the coolest things about live streaming, is being able to communicate with people in different time zones, different countries, different continents on the other side of the world. So that's really cool. So I'm going to kick things off with the main question that today's show is about for our audience. What do you want to learn about in 2022? Whether it's a product, a streaming protocol, or any kind of how-to. Let us know, because it's really important for us to take note of what our audience wants to learn about, and then we can develop some content around that. And even if it's feature ads, we'll be able to save the live chat and share that with our product team, and maybe that'll be useful to them, because I know that they find that quite valuable. So keeping an eye on the chat. What I want to learn about in 2022 is going to be more about our own products, more about PTZOptics and HuddleCam HD's products. A lot of you don't know, but I recently joined the product team. You typically see me as more of a marketing type of gal, but I have joined the product team because I'm working with industry relationships and blah, blah, blah. But that makes me want to become more technical in my knowledge of the products and offerings that we offer. Does that make sense, Stephen?
No, I think that does, and it's great to have you on the product team as well, because I think it brings a new dynamic to the team, and I'm interested to see what your hangups are getting into certain technologies, because I think so many times technical people, and I know Lindsay, you want to get into live streaming. Technical people tend to go and shoot way up here, and they forget the steps that they had to take to get there, and they forget to teach about those steps that they had to take to get to that point, right? So it'll be interesting to see where you get your hangups at, to where we can address that, because I think a lot of the audience will be in that same position.
Yeah, I think Matt and I just had that exact experience when he was teaching me about the NDI bridge, because I was that person that I have a general understanding, but when it really came down to applying it, I had lots of questions for him, and it was hopefully helpful for him to take a step back and be like, okay, this is where it doesn't make sense, and where we need to
eye-opening.
Highlight more. Oh, here's a great one.
It's eye-opening for people that have been doing it so long. It's like riding a bike, but for you, you're taking the necessary steps to, okay, I got to do this, and this.
Right. I've been live streaming for a while, but not so much hands-on with the tech, and that's what I'm really looking forward to diving into this year. Kevin is saying, I would like to know how to fine-tune my PTZOptics camera. And that is an excellent idea. We have some older content with that, but I think with some recent firmware upgrades we've had, and the like, I think it makes total sense to circle back to that and hopefully do a live show and some recorded content around that.
So what Tess is really trying to tell you guys is if you start seeing smoke in the studio during a live show, she's learning the tech. I'm just throwing that out there.
If you've been around our live streams the past couple of years, there is live footage of me creating smoke and sparks during the stream. That has happened. You can dig and find fire on the live show.
Today we almost had it.
Today we did almost have it. Yeah, I'm not.
I did not
There was a dust mop.
I'm not going to include fire safety on my resume because I don't have some good experiences when it comes to
So
that.
Lindsay, maybe you need to keep a fire extinguisher handy because I did not know this.
Yeah.
Here's another request from John saying, I've white balanced our two PTZ NDI cameras and they match each other, but some of the colors are off and it gets worse if I try to fix it. So we're talking about color correction as well as matching cameras, which is a whole beast of its own, right?
Yeah, and I can feel that pain because I have PTZOptics cameras. That's the only cameras I use here in the studio, and I did that even before I worked here. But you figure you have two of the same cameras, you should be able to go in there and set the settings exactly the same, and it should present the same picture. Well, that's not necessarily always true if you have lights that are right near those cameras that can either, make it brighter or make it darker. So a lot of times what I tend to do is on the TV behind me, I'll put like color bars, and I'll do my best to use like vector scopes. I know I'm probably going really deep into this, but you can match colors that way, and that kind of will help. And even eyeballing it, just putting color bars on your scene behind you can help, get your colors right.
Yeah, we
least
played around with that a few years ago, but I'm not sure I fully grasped the concept of that. So that's definitely something worth exploring.
Yeah, it's not something that the average person does. What I used to do is I used to have my wife sit in a chair with a bright red shirt, and red is usually something that's really like when it's on camera, it's not color corrected. It's really hot, and it just takes over the whole picture. The other thing people tend to forget, not just color correcting your cameras, but your monitors. If your monitors are out, it's going to make your cameras look out.
Yes, we've experienced that.
If you're using, and I do it too, for non-essential monitors, I use TVs. Well, TVs aren't going to give you the exact correct color that your monitors are going to give because monitors are made for that. But people do that for, expenses. So Tess, I don't recommend color correcting your cameras using a TV.
That's a great tip. And I like the idea of having a human on camera too.
Yeah.
So you can see what actual flesh tones, how they will appear.
Right. And my wife has natural red hair, so she's naturally pale. Most Irish, folks are, and she'll say it. She's like, when I go to the beach, I'm shark meat. So I get it, which is true.
Funny.
So she burns. So to have her in the seat to get pale with the pale, I know what color she is, so I can set the camera that way. So that way I know when I sit on camera, I know, okay, it's correct, the best as possible. And also lighting positions can help with that too.
Yeah. I have posted here on the screen, JHB would like to learn more about NDI and implement NDI and use NDI. And Lindsay, this could be a fun one for you too, because you're just learning about NDI. If we could bring Lindsay on to actually teach her how to bring in an NDI source from your camera into a streaming software per se, it could be a fun little basic tutorial for people who really haven't played with that before.
So if anybody would like to see that, comment down below.
Because we so often think people have some sort of at least general working knowledge of some of these protocols, but there's a lot of people who are just getting into this industry and just starting to play with it. So it does help to have people with less technology skills to help us identify some of those needs for content and support for our customers as well.
NDI, it sounds like it's something that is daunting, but it's really they've made the implementation so well that most people be like, really, that's it? That's all I got to do to bring this in? So
Right.
at least that's been my reaction as of late.
And backpacking off of that, Bill is talking about NDI and OBS, or experiencing a lag within OBS. This isn't something I'm too familiar with, but Steven, you might know what he's referring to exactly.
Yeah, I use actually OBS for my gaming streams and whatnot, and the NDI. So, okay, so let me back up. So using NDI, I use a huddle cam for my live streams. So I've seen that too, where it seems like it's almost a half a second, but there's some settings in there now. I think they put in the recent NDI firmware or update for that where you can uncheck some certain things. I'll have to get back to you on that with like a screenshot on it. I don't know what the settings are off the top of my head because I only use it when I'm doing my game streamings. But I noticed that and I went in and changed a few things and then it was spot on. So it might be just something like that. But I did the plugin. Paul has a really good tutorial on our YouTube channel showing you how to install it. And that's what I did. That's the one I used. So
Is that
yeah.
the latency timer that he has?
But no, it was just to get NDI into OBS.
Oh,
with
okay.
The plugin.
I'm sorry. I was thinking of
He has a bunch of them. No.
yeah, of like a lag tool or a I don't know the term that I'm trying to think of.
A latency test.
Yeah, I think that's what I'm referring to. Speaking of latency, Eric would like to learn about reducing IP latency with PTZ cameras. Is GStreamer a possibility?
So latency is all dependent upon your network speed, how much congestion you have. It's a factor on a lot of things, right? So without knowing specifics of network, I know one thing that I learned this year, because I'm not a network specialist. I'll just state that off.
Me neither.
I am an analytical thinker. So when I started building my network here, what I would do is I would put a switch here, put a switch there, put a switch there, put a switch there, and just piggyback off of it. So I was talking to Matt Davis, our lead engineer, and I was telling him, I was like, yes, I'm doing this. And he's like, yeah, you shouldn't do that. You shouldn't do more than 3 off of a router. He said, because it's going to slow down your NDI connection.
Okay.
And so I went and overhauled my network and just bought 3 switches. So that way my video would be great over NDI. So that's what I would suggest if you're having latency on your network. It could be one of those things. The other thing could be, cables. Start with simple before you start diving into trying to manipulate the signal to reduce the latency.
Which might be like a cable or something like that.
Could be a cable, could be your switch. When was the last time you guys updated your switch?
Mm-hmm.
That's something, listen, I'm as guilty. When I was done, I sent Matt a picture. I think I had like 13 switches
Oh, really?
in my setup. And he's like, yeah, that's not good. So again, I'm not a network guy, but it worked for what I was doing. And he was surprised that it worked as good as it did. So,
Linz, can you do me a favor? There's a lot of good questions and requests coming in. Can you copy and paste them into a document for me?
I already have been.
You already are doing it? Oh,
I'm
my
already on
goodness. You are a superstar. Well, that is very helpful. Look at us social listening right here. Okay. Alrighty. Peter here. I have a lot of problems matching the cameras. Yes. Okay. So we definitely need to cover that in the new year. Camera matching. Even if you have the same, we do suggest like buying some of our cameras with the same optical zoom because they have the same exact lens, but there are other considerations too to approve upon that. Carsey is saying, how can we use the SuperJoy to help us manage camera settings for morning services that are very bright with lots of light, and then in the evening they're much darker? Stephen, in your experience with lighting issues, because I know that you have experience in house of worship settings, what's your workaround for that besides just manually changing the camera settings during the time of day or lighting scenario?
Yeah, that's a great question because with going to a night service versus a day service, I really haven't experienced that because we have a lot of lights on stage, so it doesn't matter if it's daylight or nighttime. Our lighting really never changes, but you could create different groups. So the cool thing about the SuperJoy is you have, different groups. So you have presets up to what, seven presets you could set. So you could do a group 1 and call it daytime, and then you could do a group 2 that you would call nighttime and put your presets in those groups. That's kind of how I would handle it, because I take my SuperJoy out on the road, and so I have group 1 being my studio setup, group 2 being my on the road setup. So I can just take those cameras, go to group 2, and call it a day. So I think, Tess, that might be the easiest way that they could do that.
The group functionality.
Using the groups.
Would that work if you are using the same exact cameras?
It should, because the presets are going to be different for the group. So
right, that's the concern.
Yeah,
but they will change when you switch to a different group.
In theory, it should. And like I said, I haven't done that with lighting and whatnot. So if he's boosting something within the camera, it's going to stay in the camera.
Okay.
The lighting.
And Matt, if you're in the chat, you might be able to verify that for us, that possibility. I've gotten a lot of questions. Sorry, Stephen, what's up?
No, I was going to say, because anything that's done within the camera, I'm using 2 different cameras when I'm doing that from the road. Right. So it's going to be a different setting.
Right.
So he might be able to even do something within the custom buttons.
Okay. Yes. I was getting a couple emails before the show as well with requests for content creation. And I'm excited because we do have a lot of, I think this is going to be a good year for us. We have quite a few new products coming down the pipeline that I'm excited for, and we'll share as much with you when we can. We're actually going to share some new products with you at the end of the month. More to come on that. But I think especially for our House of Worship clients and even some lower budget clients, we've got some exciting stuff coming down the pipeline, because I'm seeing a couple of questions in here about House of Worship and affordability and things like that. Cohen's saying, I would like attention to be paid to the use of a teleprompter in combination with the PTZOptics cameras. What will be a good teleprompter to use? What was the name of the teleprompter that we made some videos with a couple years back? Was it Prompter People? Do you remember, Michael? We do have a video where I don't think it was PTZ Control, but we worked with a company where our cameras fit nicely into the teleprompter. The thing is with the teleprompters is you often can't pan and tilt too much because you've got a black screen around the camera. Now, if you wanted to use the camera stationary or with slight movements, I think that could work. What do you think, Stephen? Have you seen a lot of people using PTZ cameras with teleprompters?
It's funny that he brings this up. I was just scrolling through LinkedIn the other day, and I saw somebody that had a specific teleprompter for PTZ cameras. I think, I want to say Andrew Cross actually shared it, but I was looking on my phone here to try to verify where I saw it, because it was in my feed. But there is apparently one out there.
That's what it was called. Thank you, Michael. QScript was the company that we worked with. But you can also do a teleprompter with an iPad and have the camera be on a tripod on top of that or something. So it doesn't have to be, the camera doesn't have to be within the teleprompter. There are some workarounds. We've definitely used iPad teleprompter apps before with our cameras.
Paul's saying Prompter People?
Yeah, Prompter People, but he's forgetting the QScript. And Paul's commenting, hi, Paul.
Hey,
Glad
Paul.
to have you here. You should come around more often. We're going to have to get you in studio. Sorry, I'm sitting out of the frame. You can use the SuperJoy Super presets to set up multiple cameras with new configs. Thank you. Chad's thinking back to some of our older episodes. He remembers the QScript videos, and There were a couple people in here that remembered my very first live stream with Tom Sinclair of Streaming Idiots, where he pretended that I was muted and he couldn't hear me, and I was mortified because I thought I was ruining my first solo stream.
Aw.
It was a good way to
Yeah,
break
sounds
the
like
ice.
something.
It is something Tom would do after knowing him.
Yep.
Okay. There is a lot of requests coming in here, and we're going to stay with you guys for about 5 more minutes because, and something I don't think I mentioned at the beginning of the show about our new show schedule, we are going to be going live once a week, Wednesday afternoons, to hang out with you guys. The first 3 shows of the month are going to be shorter, just so I and we involved in the production can get our other work done and keep our jobs still. And then the last Wednesday of the month, we're going to do a larger show where the giveaway will be, because I've gotten a couple questions about that. So 1 giveaway a month. The last Wednesday of the month is going to be the big show where it will be longer. And the other 3 are going to be a little bit shorter, but we just want to make sure we're interacting with you guys on a weekly basis for sure. Peter, I would also like to know about using a PTZOptics camera from a remote location using NDI and controlling the PTZ from my end of the internet. Well, we just covered a possibility with the NDI bridge for remote production, and something I was going to cue to the audience, and we're kind of throwing all my questions out the window because we got too busy with the audience conversation, so that's fine. How are you remotely producing in this virtual world with you-know-what, ravaging the world? Have you had to do any remote production, Stephen, that you can kick that conversation off with?
The remote production I've had to do, this past year, I've had to do graduation, I've had to do school plays.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, that was one of the most challenging that I've ever had to do with a PTZ camera, because I had to have, it was just me and another guy, and we were, he was controlling the cameras and I was giving him cues on which ones that I needed him to go to, and he literally followed with the Superjoy and the play. I can actually show you an example here while it's side by side with you.
Oh, wow, you already have it right there.
I have it. So this was, because it was fast-paced switching, and the characters would move, so you constantly had to change cameras, and there's nobody in the audience. It's
right.
Just this. So you're trying to follow the action as it's going on with a PTZ camera with 2 guys, because it's remote, so you have to do it in a way that it looks good for people that are going to be watching this online, because they can't be there. So yeah, most of this stuff I had to be there in person for, because of the nature of it.
That was a perfect example for that. And I did mention our last show, we talked about using the NDI bridge for remote productions, which is also a completely doable possibility with your PTZOptics cameras if they're upgraded to NDI. Over IP, Stephen, what are some other options for remote production that you can think of?
Remote production, you can easily do, like if you're sitting in a studio like we are now. I'm actually calling into our live to air, and Mike is producing everything there. So that's a way that you can do it. I mean, you can use just about anything. Zoom, Skype. I mean, there's so many options to remote produce. It really depends on what you're trying to do. And I think with Bridge, I was really excited because if you have NDI capable cameras, like for a sporting event, you could send that on the Bridge, sit in the comfort of your home, and produce that sporting event for high school, college, whatever, and do it without even leaving your house in this time frame that we're in.
Yes. And so many people are looking for
think.
options for that.
Right. And I wanted to show if I could. The other thing, when I was telling you about augmented reality a little bit and implementing that into a stream.
Yes,
because
please do.
These teachers, there's a lot of people out there, they're afraid to get on camera, and we're moving to more of that. Remote is here to stay, whether or not things get back to normal the way we knew it. I've started dabbling in some things where a girl wanted to be on kind of what Lindsay's doing on our broadcast that we do on retro games, and she wanted to help with reading the comments. But she was afraid to be on camera. So this is what we did for her. we created what we call Retro Babe, and
I want an
it moves with
avatar.
her character. That's it. So she can essentially move around, and she's reading comments. And what I would do is I'll move her lower third out of the way here in a second. You'll see, and then I bring up the comments, and she's reading them in real time with us, and it's integrated with real people because she didn't really want to be on camera. But this is a way the avatar follows her mouth, her eye movements, her her head movements, and gives it that real feel
Paul and
of being live. So,
sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. I just got
you're
excited
good. Go
about
ahead.
this. Paul and I were playing with something on Steam a year or so ago where we were going to try that, but something happened. We couldn't figure it out right. But maybe you might be inspiring me to try something crazy like that again.
It's fun because, like, I mentioned it to the schools because I've been doing some work with them, and I said, because some of the teachers, like, I really don't like getting on Zoom. I'm scared to be, on camera. And I mentioned, I was like, there's programs out there that you can do this, and you don't have to be. And it's fun for the kids, especially if you have really young ones, to get them engaged. This is a great way to do it. But again, we were playing around with it. I want to learn more about the different technologies to do this, but this opens up a whole new fun way of doing shows rather than just talking heads, right?
Yeah, for sure. Chad's asking, did you use Adobe Character Animator for that?
My buddy was, yeah, we were using over NDI. So,
Steven, I
but
know
yeah,
that sorry. That's the one thing with remote, is since you're not right next to me, it's hard to judge that the nonverbal communication, but we're figuring it out.
we haven't done a show in a while, so we'll get it down.
When I look at the confidence monitor, I can see you and then I understand. But if I'm looking another way, then I don't get it as much. I know that you have to go, Stephen, so I will let you go, and Lindsay and I can wrap this up. Though there was a question about Wirecast, and I know you know Wirecast. If you want to cover one more.
I just got a text. And my daughter said that it is canceled till the 19th because of they have exams or something, so the teacher's not able to do it. So I am good.
Okay, good. Then maybe you will be able to help me with this one. And we still will only stay on a couple more minutes just because of the schedule we're sticking to. But there is so many great comments and requests in here. But just know if we don't cover it right now, we are copying and pasting all of this into a document. Thank you, Lindsay, for thinking of that ahead of time. So we will be able to bring this back to our team and consider all of these. Stella's saying, I'm unable to connect to the PTZ camera from the drop-down box on Wirecast. For PTZ control or just for video capture? What do I need to do?
Yeah, that would be a good question to ask back. Is it not showing up? Are you trying to do it NDI, or are you trying to do it with a capture card? Because the NDI is going to show up under the network area of Wirecast, whereas if you're connecting it through like a Magewell capture card with SDI or HDMI, it's going to be under the video capture. Same thing with OBS or any other streaming software.
Right. So maybe it could be as simple as not selecting the right input.
I know sometimes with Wirecast on Windows, I've found that if you're not sharing media, there's a setting in Windows in the control panel about your media, multimedia. If you're not sharing that, sometimes NDI feeds do not show up in Wirecast. I'm not exactly sure why, but it's something that I fought with, for a little bit. So if you go in there and share that, your NDI feed should show up.
Stella isn't aware of NDI, so it must not be NDI. And check out our content, because we've got a lot of content out there that can teach you about NDI and maybe some potential possibilities for you.
Yeah, after moving completely all my cameras to NDI, and that's where I want to look this year. I want to try to get my audio to IP. I haven't looked back.
That
I don't
was
have
your
to play
goal.
with capture cards anymore. Nothing.
Really?
I don't have to do any of that. It's just NDI.
Because some people are on the fence.
I was on the fence too, and I still have them hooked up SDI as backups. But honestly, Mike and I were playing with it, and it was great. He was able to grab my feeds from here through the bridge. He could choose whatever camera he wanted. and I could do the same. So that's the power of NDI, where SDI, he couldn't do that, and I couldn't do that.
That's true. That's very true. The possibilities are endless and still developing. Chad's saying unrelated, but we use our Zcam in our custom warehouse product photo software just because of the public API camera controls. Endless possibilities with these things. We're glad that you're finding that useful. Okay. Let's see if I can cover a couple more of these. Now there's lots of conversation happening about the augmented reality, the character animators. And Craig is saying, no, we want to see what they're interested in. Something happened to my color. I look a little washed out. That's all right. I was playing
TV
with.
Went off behind you.
Oh, the TV went off behind me. That's why.
Well, that's a good example, Tess. So you had the color balance just right, and look what happened when the light went out.
That's right. And Michael and I were just talking about this before the show. His monitors could look completely different than somebody's laptop screen. So where is the truth? Where is the, what can you really trust? Because then you might get a complaint. Here's another one. I don't know, I am on the product team now, but I don't know this, and nor would I know if we would even be able to answer this. But do you plan PTZ cameras in this year with a larger than a 1-inch image sensor? I don't know off the top of my head the image sensor sizes for our PTZ cameras. Do you?
We'd have to get back. We'd have to get back to them on that. I can't.
Larger.
I can't confirm or deny.
Okay. Larger image sensor means better quality image?
Better quality image, yeah.
Okay. So that's always a good thing, right?
Yep.
Okay. The truth is person to person. Yeah, I hear you, Peter. But
before you wrap this up, what's your take on going out to these trade shows this year?
I did have that on my list as well. I miss that person-to-person element. Now, we use live streaming weekly, monthly, daily, and it's been so helpful for our lives to be able to make interactions with people we would never know otherwise, hence the people I'm communicating with right now. But there is something about that in-person element that we were able to have at the trade shows once, twice, 3 times a year that was really special. A lot of the people that we continue to chat with in the chat have become friends of ours. We've been able to meet a lot of them in person. Stephen, we got to meet in person at the trade shows before, and now you're my colleague. So I definitely am excited to go back, if it's safe enough. But you got to respect, the world and the way things are going. So it's tricky.
Yeah, I'm thinking that nothing's going to go back. I think this was the opening that the remote world needed for production, and I think it will go back, but I also think that it's here to stay.
It won't be the same.
Not going to return. No, it will not be the same.
What do you think, Lindsay?
Well, I hope I get to go to a trade show someday.
You missed.
I know.
Being a new employee in the corporate world, there are some lost opportunities on traveling, so I totally understand that pain point, Linz. But there is potential. As far as we know, NAB is happening in the spring. And we're planning for it right now. So we'll see. Just maybe not the way that we would have 2 years ago. Mm-hmm. Less people, smaller booth, who knows?
Yeah, I think the diehards will be there in the sense of business, where their business thrives off of this. They have to be there where they can't do a virtual event. Because you still have a lot of those grassroots companies that haven't adopted the technology, right?
Mm-hmm. Certainly.
So.
That's definitely a consideration. Craig's asking, what's the best PTZ camera for gym sports for live stream? PTZOptics. PTZ cameras, of course. No, but they are obviously our recommended camera brand. great balance of quality, affordability. We have plenty of adaptions in the sports industry. If you want to ask anybody in this live chat, I know Chad's here and is using currently 6 PTZOptics camera for basketball streams, and I believe a mobile streaming setup as well. He's got a couple cool things. But if you want to learn more about our offerings, you can always reach out to us at partners@ptzoptics.com or going to our website, ptzoptics.com. I think that's a good place to kind of wrap this up. What do you think, Steve?
Sounds good.
All right, guys, don't forget we will be live next Wednesday at 2 p.m. Haven't quite decided what we're going to chat about, but I think I have plenty of content ideas after today's stream. And yes, we are having a giveaway at the end of the month at the large show, the last Wednesday of the month. You can enter to win a prize at ptzoptics.com/show. You can also register for our live show notification list there. If you're new here, welcome. Please like and subscribe. If you're not new here and haven't liked and subscribed, what are you thinking? Please do that right now.
Yeah.
Thank you so much,
like,
guys.
Subscribe.
It was fun to have you with us today, Lindsay.
This
too.
is so fun.
You should come around more often.
I will.
All right, guys, we'll see you next Wednesday. Thanks so much.
See ya.